Our focus right now is very simply on unity, on bringing this party together, on uniting the party. If we continue to unite the party, we will win the nomination. And if we continue to unite the country, we will win the general election, we will beat Hillary Clinton, and we will turn the country around.
Ted Cruz on the stump in Indiana over the weekend. You heard him tell supporters right there that his campaign is focused on unity. But his latest move is to unite with Ohio Governor John Kasich in an effort to stop Donald Trump from reaching that magic number of 1,237 delegates. In a statement on his campaign website, the Texas senator writes, and I quote, "Our campaign will focus its time and resources in Indiana and in turn clear the path for Governor Kasich to compete in Oregon and New Mexico." So will this latest move, in fact, prove effective? For more, let's welcome in from Nashville, Tennessee, the chief political correspondent for USA Radio Networks and a proud supporter of Donald Trump, who from time to time offers viewpoints on his campaign to us. It's our good friend Scottie Nell Hughes. So, Scottie Nell, Donald Trump is calling this move by Kasich and Cruz desperate. You agree with that?
Absolutely. Don't break out the s'mores yet, JD. I don't think this is really the Republican Party singing Kumbaya, or at least the membership or the people that have recently become engaged in it. I think a lot of conservatives this morning woke up, JD, kind of scratching their head, going, wait a minute. Senator Ted Cruz, who championed himself on being against Common Core, against Obamacare, against amnesty, against things like TPP and NAFTA, has just partnered with John Kasich, Governor Kasich, who is as establishment as you can get and is pro all of those things. And once again, this just reaffirmed why Mr. Trump has been saying that the system might not necessarily be breaking any rules right now, but it is rigged to keep the politicians in office, and that they're going to do anything they can to keep themselves in power without letting someone who's an outsider actually have a chance.
So the way you're setting it up, Scottie Nell, it sounds like you almost expect a backlash against Cruz and Kasich for this strategic move.
Absolutely. If you read on social media all day today, I think a lot of conservatives are scratching their heads because this just reaffirmed everything Mr. Trump has been saying. Listen, people who support Senator Ted Cruz because they believe he is the honest, true conservative in this race right now, the honest, principled conservative that's not going to waver, are going, but wait a minute, you've wavered in this case. Listen, we have enough capitulation. We have enough idea of compromise where conservatives lose. We don't want to see it on the election or the campaign trail. And this is very much evident that Senator Ted Cruz has this option, has explored this possibility. Plus, you have to look at this. You have Indiana, a state that is right next door to Ohio, where Governor Kasich is supposed to be so popular. Why isn't he taking his neighboring state? Why are they sending him over to the West Coast? As well as when you look at Senator Ted Cruz, the states that he's won, he's only won 2 east of the Mississippi River during this whole entire process. So until the Cruz campaign can come out and answer for why places like the South, that is heavy evangelical, have not been able to embrace Senator Ted Cruz or his campaign, or look at the East, how outside of Maine, why any of these other Rust Belt states, and he's not doing very well, isn't expected to do very well tomorrow. How come he is not being able to really or unify any of those folks right now in the GOP?
Well, let me ask you about Maine since you brought it up. The Maine governor, a Trump supporter, was pretty upset with what happened over the weekend, where Ted Cruz picked up all but 1 delegate, if memory serves. Doesn't that show a very effective ground campaign by Ted Cruz? He understands the rules in these states, and he's picking up delegates. Or now, has it turned into a situation where the Trump forces just don't consider Ted that much of a threat?
Well, a little bit of both, but let's look at what happened in Maine right here. You know, at these delegates that are these slots that are being awarded, I think Donald Trump was supposed to get 9 in Maine and only got the 1 slot. These delegates are supposed to be representative of the people that their vote is, what there is. And I think that when you look at like Pennsylvania right now, where you're going to have a bunch tomorrow that are going to be unbound, majority of those that are running have said, I am going to vote what my congressional district, with the majority of those people, they see it as not just them going to the convention. They see themselves representing representing, what we're supposed to be a representational government. They see themselves trying to reflect what the people that have voted them in to be able to go to the convention, what their voices are. Those folks right now that are being appointed into slots, and they don't necessarily agree with that candidate, but they just want to go to Cleveland so that eventually maybe the second or third ballot they can vote for who they really like. I almost see them as fraudulent. And right now and I don't know personally how I could sleep at night knowing that folks that have sat here and worked hard and want to be a voice of the people are going to go against their people for their own selfish reasons, for their own selfish mind. That's the problem we have in Washington, D.C. right now, JD. We have a lot of politicians that say they want to represent the people, but then go get with their own mind once they get to D.C. We're seeing that same process revealed right now amongst these Cruz appointees and these Cruz delegates. They think that they know more than the people that they're being elected to represent. That's what people are fed up with.
Pretty strong statement about fraudulence on the part of the Cruz people, but it leads me to this question. Let's just say that things break for this Cruz-Kasich strategy. And one of those two, most likely Ted Cruz, comes out of Cleveland as the nominee. Scottie Nell Hughes, will you and other Trump supporters get behind the Republican nominee?
Absolutely. I still believe that Senator Ted Cruz is a good conservative. But here's the problem, JD, is that in the general election in November, that has nothing to do with the delegates that might be stolen in July. And we have to remember that right now, you do not want to sit there and disenfranchise votes like what we're seeing happen in Georgia, like what we're seeing in Louisiana, Tennessee. You don't want to sit there and disenfranchise those people and tell them that their votes don't matter, that the party knows more by picking their delegates than the people do by when they went to the voting box. That right there, that does not bode well for any party, but especially the Republican Party that has this hill to climb against the Clintons come November. So we're, right now, Reince Priebus and the RNC is having to walk a very delicate line right now to make sure that while yes, they don't have anything to do with these state rules, but want to make sure that they don't disenfranchise these voters that they're going to need so much, regardless of who the nominee is come November.
And Scottie Nell Hughes, we will have to call it quits right there. We thank you for your time tonight from Nashville. Back with more after this.